we are. One of the very first interviews on the Winning Summit. And the reason for the Winning Summit, we would purport that the world that we are already entered into will be vastly volatile, fast changing, full of dislocations, a bit like mini COVID. So the Winning Summit is how, through the passion of our sport, can we train ourselves to survive and prosper in what's called the fourth industrial revolution. And as ever, it is my delight and honor to be amongst masters of their craft. And we have with us Conrad Singh. So Conrad, briefly, because you've done so much and been so many places in the world, you're the master of craft. Just give us 30 seconds on who you are, because some people might not know.
Well, thanks a lot, Mark. Always a pleasure to be here and to speak with you. But look, my background is I've been very fortunate to be a part of, I would think, each sector of the tennis industry, starting as a player, moving into to some low-level tour coaching, then working from the ground up with all levels of tennis coaching, whether it be kids, adults, all the way through to owning academies, being 15 years in China, running an elite academy in China there. We were the first international academy on site, to working with the booming industry of Chinese players that happened in the first decade of the 2000s. The Fed Cup teams, the Li Nas and all those sorts of players, to now being based in the US at Center Court Tennis Academy, where I'm the CEO of tennis, director of coaching, and we run a huge program with great success. We've got a lot of kids going into Ivies, top schools, and we have a very high level of player there. And again, I sort of oversee the whole program from high level.
So you oversee lots of coaches,
correct, and
lots of employees, and you still do your own coaching of juniors trying to make it in?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's I need to get out on a court. I feel like it's a creative release. And so I'm on court, 18, 20 hours a week, purely because I love it. It's really a positive, time for me to be out there.
Yeah, me too. So, and we talked previously, but how's COVID where you are right now?
Yeah, look, it's been great for, let's say we went back in, I think it was the last week of May. We had a three-month shutdown, went back in the last week of May, had no issues, really. Everything was going well. But things are really spiking right now, which is a nightmare. Just today, we saw a massive jump in cases in New Jersey. So I would imagine the next few weeks are going to be very difficult. I feel like we've been through a lot of this, so we've certainly become very good at dealing and pivoting and being agile with decisions. But at the same time, it's a reality that we're going through right now. So, yeah.
So I purport that this is not a one-off. And when people say, well, we're going back to a new normal, I personally don't think people understand what a new normal is, because it's not going to be similar to how it's just going to be constant volatility with all these exponential technologies. So they say that to survive and prosper into this new era, there are two critical things, and one of which is building a strong culture. Because if you have to be anti-fragile and pivot or handbrake turn, you and your employees, obviously don't have a job and don't have revenue. So if you've got a strong culture, not only can Conrad go, okay, let's bring my culture, let's bring my systems, let's bring my stats into something else, but your employees will also look at Conrad and go, hey, Conrad, we're following you, mate. So how do you build culture, train culture? What's your view on culture and relationships? Because you're going to be lecturing on it at the Winning Summit 26, 27, 8 of Feb.
Very excited to do so. I think, look, first and foremost, it goes back to what I call the 5 Ps. So prior preparation, preventing poor performance. Myself and the team at Center Court Tennis Academy, we're constantly out there researching, studying, finding out what is everyone else doing, what are other sports doing, how can we make sure that we're at the leading edge of anything that we need to be at regarding COVID. So that's how we've handled this new normal, and it is a new normal. Everything from temperature checks to coach testing to players having to travel and come back. There are so many new things that we didn't have to do before that we do have to do now. So that has been the first thing, to be pioneering, to make sure that we do our due diligence in every way. The second part has been to partner up with really high quality individuals that are experts in this area, right? So one of our main sponsors is St. Barnabas Medical Centres. They've been incredible in supporting us and in educating us. So that's something all of our team have had to go through several times. And again, it goes back to the whole being open and receptive to being developed, to change, and to learn. So then I'll speak about the cultural part. Our team that we have right now is just incredible with this. So, you know, inevitably we lost or we let go some of those, let's call it harder to evolve, harder to pivot individuals. The team that we have been incredible in embracing the new rules, the new ways. And so my role, I guess, as CEO, Director of Coaching at Centrecourt, is to make sure that I'm leading that. And so I'm absolutely doing everything that I can to be ready for anything that may occur, and constantly speaking to our team. So dialogue is critical in everyone understanding the culture that we're trying to develop. Protocol, tested protocol. And we run through many scenarios over and over again. So role playing on that. And then again, it comes back to the key word. The number one thing is relationships. So if I don't have relationships with my team, I can't expect them to necessarily want to do what we're trying to do. So those two things for me are intrinsically connected: relationship and culture.
So I'm assuming you didn't get a formal education in this.
That's a great comment. I was mentioning to you off camera earlier, in my 27, 28 years coaching, it's me teaching myself and me realizing very early on the importance of being culturally aware as a tennis professional or a tennis coach. I think I gave you the example, growing up in Melbourne, Australia, very multicultural city. Many times as a young coach, I'd be on court, 4, 5, 6 kids, each of them from a different background, whether it be ethnic background, religious background, parents of a different age band, age bracket, each kid with a different expectation on what they would receive whilst being on the tennis court. Therefore, it's just critical to understand those cultural differences. And how do you get the knowledge? Through the relationship. So you've got to then go that extra yard. You've got to step off the court, speak to the parents a little more. That's how I got my education in this. And it's been fortunate to carry me, up to 2.5 decades now.
Yeah, and that would have been amplified by working 15 years in China and in England and elsewhere.
A couple of years in Japan. I was born in South Africa, raised in Australia. Married. My wife's from Mexico. I'm all about culture. I love it. I think it's a spice of life, and I really feel like to be successful in this industry, moving forwards, and particularly moving through challenging moments like we are in right now, it will come back to your relationships, the culture you have, and what are your pillars within your community.
So last questions then. One of my mentors, a Kung Fu guy called Sifu Matthew, says, with repetition of great training, you become the training. So would you like to take the challenge on of unpacking culture and relationships, and both through education and action at the summit, how people could replicate your training and become culturally aware and good relationships?
I absolutely cannot wait for that challenge. I certainly believe that we need to touch on this area. Repetition is the mother of all skill, as I and many others say. And to be able to replicate quality relationships, to develop great customs, culture, and expectations of your team, it all comes down to having a systematic approach. And that systematic approach is experience times time equals relationship. So all of these things, they're all connected, they're all interlaced. I would have to say one last thing, Mark, and that is that your ability to listen and your ability to be aware and alert are the tools that you're going to need in order to develop these key factors of culture and relationships. So You know, anyone who's open and prepared in those areas, I would love to work with them and see how we can help you develop your own business.
Yeah. As you talk, obviously in the developed first world, we have a mindset of going to anywhere else and going, well, here's how we do it. This is how it's done. No, that's not the case. So,
and you learn that, Mark, when you go to, you know, I've been fortunate, as I said, to work in countries like Japan for a couple of years, and you're not going to break the culture. You got to work with it. So then you got to become creative on how do I communicate my message without having the language. That's a whole nother category. And so, yeah, I've been lucky to live those opportunities. Not everyone gets those chances, I guess, to be that challenged culturally, and to then have to find another way to get your message across. And so, yeah, I've been lucky to have those opportunities to help me.
Let me finish off, because this is so important, and this is so urgent. This is not like, oh yeah, I will learn it. This is their choice. I will learn it by trial and error over the next 10, 15, 20 years, or I can listen to Conrad and get up to speed pretty damn quick, because COVID and Industry 4.0 is not going to wait.
Well said. Well said. Let's
Conrad,
get at it.
big hugs to you. We will speak, and I'll see you anyway, 26th, 27th of Feb.
You will,
Thanks,
mate.
man. This is so valuable, what you're doing. Massive.
Truly appreciate it, Mark, and Happy New Year to you, mate. Let's hit 2021 running.
Awesome. We'll speak soon.
See you, mate.